Good morning again, everyone. I'm doing an update on Nayim Carter. I will be showing you a part of a video that his mother and father put out a couple of days ago. Um, I don't know if you probably do remember. Naeem was at Nemours Hospital, and his father, Muhammad, jumped into action to try to resuscitate his son after the doctors gave up and said they were done working on him. He was performing chest compressions. The mother had the video camera. Amina is her name. She had the video camera. And she said, his father was saying he still has a blood pressure, he still has oxygen, and he still has a heart rate. So his daddy started working on him, and we watched it, and my heart goes out to that whole family. Um, Amina Muhammad, the mother, she accused the hospital staff of um, giving Naeem medicine that was going to kill him. And she said he had insufficient treatments. Um, and the doctor said that, the mother claimed that she gave him Benadryl, but they're saying that's not correct. Um, they're saying that the doctors got tired of taking care of him, so they planned to kill him. And gotta hope and pray that is not what happened. But the family is planning on going through, at this point, um, he's his funeral arrangements are being handled by Reed Funeral Home of Magnolia, and that was updated on June 28th. So I was looking to see if anything else changed. The family thinking that they killed him because it was costing them money. They lost their patience. They were frustrated. They're saying it was spiteful and vengeful. Um, I'm just gonna play this, and so you can hear them talk. I'm gonna play about 10 minutes of it, so that way you'll see what this family is going through.
Out there who have supported us in this most challenging and most trying time. We can't express this actual fact over and over and over again. But as parents, you never think that you will have to bury your child. You never think that you will outlive your children. As parents, your number one priority is to protect your children, to be there for your children, to love your children, and to honor your children. Unfortunately, accidents and things can happen. This is the first Father's Day since Naeem was born that Naeem is not here. And it's very, very unfortunate and challenging and moving experience and situation. Also, to look at caskets and choose caskets, it's the hardest thing in the world to even think about something like that. So it's very rough. And for those who planned it, those who knew what they were going to do, those who have tried and tried continuously to create the situation and circumstance that happened June 14, 2021, you're very deplorable. Very, very deplorable. Very deplorable. Very much so. And it's like, you make a decision, which is a horrible decision, a horrible choice, and apparently criminal, before Father's Day. To have a father and to have a mother without their child during a time that's revered and respected by many people. The other thing is that there's a lot of deplorable people out there. A lot of people who have nothing better to do, a lot of people with agendas and their own conspiracy theories, and a lot of them who know better. And they this is not a time to do what you're trying to do. First of all, we have nothing really to explain about what happened other than you want details, of what led up to what they did, right? But we have nothing to explain in the context of the video. The live spoke for itself. So it's not a narrative. It's not something that came out of our mouth. It's not something that we decided that we were going to talk about or that we made up or whatever the situation or circumstance is. This is something that the world saw live in the first hand.
Yes, he's talking about the video with him in the hospital trying to resuscitate his son. And it is a heartbreaking video, guys. I put Amina's link in the description so you can go back and watch and you can go look. She updates everyone all the time. So I want you just to keep this family in your prayers. Please, please keep them in your prayers.
And it was a plea for help because no one was helping us. We had to help our own child. We had to help our child as much as we could in our abilities to save and sustain our child's life. Now, there was some propaganda going on by somebody who alleged they're a nurse, and if you are, so be it. You're a nurse, you're a doctor, you whatever you are. There's no monolith for any of that. And there's no special abilities or psychic abilities for any of that. Um, this is what you are, your profession, your studies, et cetera, whatever it is you are, right? Talking about anoxic brain injury. I didn't have that. He had a hypoxic injury. Anoxic means a total lack of oxygen. Hypoxic means partial. So get your facts right before you start running your mouth because you don't know what you're talking about. And understand the recovery dynamic of both of those injuries. Because both of those injuries are recoverable. There is questions on what part of the brain got injured and whatever, but there's still one thing about neuroscience and one thing about the human brain is that there's still so much research being done that the entire brain and its understanding of its function, how it repairs, what it does, is still a very, 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 very dim and challenging area as far as research is concerned. The specialist who has been helping us.
Remember, guys, in the other video, she said that it was a near drowning and that he had passed all of his, they had did the EEG test and that was good. They did the pain test. He passed that. So if you haven't watched those videos, please go back and watch them.
Who's a brain recovery specialist. I mean, I'll call his name another time, but call his name another time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Call his name another time. But the point is that he's had patients who, one patient was in a coma for like 4 years, and the patient had to have teeth work done. And they gave the patient Novocaine, and after the Novocaine wore off, the patient woke up. So it's like things like that. You never know how the brain is going to respond.
Right. And then it's like some stories about how people play certain instruments and people wake up. Medicine, sleeping, even a sleeping aid sometimes will wake a person up out of their coma that I've read about. So it's it's like he said, it's very dim when it comes to the brain and the research that's been done on brain recovery. But
it's not very, very, very powerful information she just shared with that, which is true. The other thing, speaking about deplorable people, those of you who have, so this is what's going on. See, this is what really has to be made clear. There is, whenever people are abused or attacked or targeted, especially systemic or institutional, or just overall racism, white supremacy, fascism, sexism, xenophobia, whatever the dynamic is, right? Whatever the dynamic is. Whenever targeted groups are attacked or assaulted, what the abusers and the attackers like to do is something that's known in psychology and sociology as victim labeling.
Okay, guys, now you remember Dr. Muhammad, he is the founding member. He is the deputy or the commander of the Revolutionary Black Panther Party. So his wife, Amina, is the deputy chief. So there's been a lot of nasty, I'm not going to say nasty, there's been a lot of deplorable things said about the family. Again, we have to keep in mind that they lost a child that they took care of. This accident happened in February of 2020, and they took care of this child all up until he had to go to Nemours. So, no matter what your feelings are about the party he's associated with or he founded, this is still a family that's in crisis right now.
Labeling the victim, blaming the victim. A woman gets raped. Well, why?
What was she wearing?
Yeah.
What was she saying?
Right.
Different things like that.
We heard she had 8 boyfriends 3 years ago. What the hell does that have to do with anything? A black man gets shot down 20 times, 30 times, 5 times, 6 times, 2 times, 3 times. Well, back in 1998, he robbed 2 corner stores, or he.
So true. So true. I'm going to agree with you on that. That is absolutely true. The woman gets raped. They want to know what was she wearing. Or, she slept with 3 guys 2 nights ago. Rape is rape. He's right. Same thing that happened with George Floyd, if you remember. Okay. He got killed. He was murdered by a police officer who's now going to be serving 22 and a half years. First thing they do is talk about his drug use, what he used to do. That had nothing to do with George being murdered. So I understand exactly what Dr. Muhammad is saying.
He sold drugs. It has nothing to do with the crime committed to take the life.
Right, even the child, even the Trayvon Martin that was talking. It was trying to bring up stuff about him in school,
and it didn't even make sense. It didn't even add up. Talking about something about some weed. You don't even know what they was talking.
Exactly, but what did that have to do with him getting shot by?
Nothing at all. It was unrelated.
Nothing to do with it.
But this is the sick part about the sick bastard. And don't you all allow any of them to get away with it, because we're taking down names, and it won't be nice, lawfully speaking for these fools. So let me explain this to you. Nayim's situation or circumstance, they're trying the same thing. Could you imagine that? Think about that. Now, for you here, like, y'all can't think about that or fathom that. So the same exact thing. They are basically trying to blame Nayim for them medically murdering him. How in the hell can you do that? Nayim didn't cause these people who medically murdered him to abandon him. Nayim didn't cause these people who medically murdered him to try to over-medicate him and try to put concoctions together that he didn't need. Nayim didn't cause these people. Nayim, who was perfectly well. Yes, hypoxic brain injury, which is highly recoverable. And he was ahead of the curve just a few weeks into his accident anyway, because he was moving then. And then before he went to Nemours, he was highly progressive, sitting up, responding to sound, responding to your voices, doing.
Oh my God, this is the first time. Well, this is the first time that they're actually speaking about this, because she said it on the other video that he was responding. But this, oh my God, this is so sad.
His physical therapy and occupational therapy on cue, and he was recovering just like anybody. Any of you, any of us can have an injury, get hit in the head, and or get some type of injury, have a hypoxic or any type of brain injury or traumatic brain injury, whatever the brain injury is, and end up in a coma, and we would have to recover. The good thing about Nayim is that he was 3 years old when he had his injury, so his recovery will be much, much better at grasping, because him still being a baby. So he was way ahead of the curve. He had one issue that any healthy person, anybody out here can have, and that was pneumonia. What the hell does that have to do with him recovering from a coma? Pneumonia has nothing to do with that. It has something more or less to do with him getting a cold, and the cold turning into something that effect, which could happen to any of us. Any of us. That can happen to me right now, you right now, anybody right now. So that doesn't even make any sense to even try to put that into something that it doesn't add up to. He went there for that. And after a few weeks, he was cleared to go home. Remember that he was medically cleared to go home. Medically cleared to go home after a few weeks of dealing with the recovery of his pneumonia. He was medically cleared to go home. Okay? Medically cleared to go home. So that needs to be notated and properly understood. The problem with them is the fact that they no longer wanted to take care of Nayim because they wasn't getting paid anymore, because it's made it clear to go home. We reiterated this so many different times. because there's a shortage on home health care agencies, and there's a certain criterion threshold that needed to be met. And if the agencies can't do it, then he has to stay in a facility that is adequate enough to provide that until so. And because it was costing them out of pocket, they started doing all type of sick, twisted things. I don't want to keep reiterating this because we don't have to explain anything to anybody, but just dealing with the propaganda artists and those who are trying to get clout in our son's name. You idiots. And talking about we're trying to get a meal ticket. And listen, you are disgusting for saying that. So we would want our 3-year-old, 4-year-old baby to be dead for some money? Listen, if I need some money, I'm not even going to front. Now, I'm a lawful person. But if we need it that bad, I kick your door in and get it. I'm just saying, if we need it that bad, I'm going to feed my wife. I'm going to feed my children. I'm going to feed.
Oh, my God. So let me just stop this here. So I wanted to add that I looked up the percentage of people that survive hypoxic brain injuries, and it's like 10%. So there was still a chance. There was still a chance, but it's only 10%. I just wanted to say that.
Feed my family by any means necessary if I had to, but I'm just saying I'm lawful and we lawful. So we would never do that. If you really knew the truth about some aspects dealing with our son, you put your own foot in your mouth. But we can't talk about those things because those things have been getting taken care of for a long time. Talking about economic factors, and that's all I'm going to say about it, that you're a fool. But you'll learn sooner or later how you're a fool. Because they should have learned that day how they were a fool. I told them, I said, come and help him, or you're going to create a bigger problem if you don't for yourself. And it's going to be so much after you commit this crime by not helping us save our son's life. We didn't ask for that. We didn't ask them to do that. We told them over and over again that day. And I'm going to call names and I don't care. We told Dr. We told the bastard. I'm gonna just say that. We told.
They already know the names already.
Yeah, but the last bastard we talked to, we told this bastard over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah, Dr. RS. Over and over and over and over again. We told this fool. We said we want our son full cold. See, we knew that it was just some foolishness and funniness going on. And I'm explaining this to y'all tonight. So the community can understand this. For years, people have heard others say, well, they killed my grandma in the hospital. They killed my son. They killed my daughter. They killed my uncle. They killed my cousin. They killed my nephew. People of all races and persuasions. But you never got to see it. We didn't want to be the ones that had to be put in that position. But we went into a very constructive, powerful mind of survival for our child and to protect and defend our baby. And so all of that came with it. All the things we had to do. Stand down law enforcement. Stand down people who may do harm, but invite those in who could help to save and sustain his life.
Guys, remember they went back to the hospital the next day to get the medical records, and they were met by the police. They weren't allowed to go in. I don't know if they've received the medical records yet or not, but they demanded their son's medical records that day, the day after, or was it 2 days later? I can't remember. But they were met by officers at the door and they weren't allowed into the hospital.
This is what we did. So I'm saying this to say this. In the U.S. medical industrial complex, people of color, minorities are always discriminated against. We need you all to understand this clearly. There are targeted groups of people who the U.S. medical industrial complex target does not like and does not have time for. One more time. There are targeted groups of people that the U.S. medical industrial complex does not like, does not have time for, and targets.
Oh my goodness. Okay, guys, I'm going to leave that there. The video, as I said, is available on Amina's page. I put the link in the description, and I just wanted to bring you guys an update on what was going on. But again, they haven't announced the memorial service yet as of June 28. Everything is being handled by Reed. I'm sorry, Reed Funeral Home of Magnolia. So that's where that stands with the family right now. Please leave me some comments. Remember, the family is in crisis at this time. And I just want to say thank all of you for being here. Um, my heart goes out to this family. It really does. Um, I'm so sorry. I just can't. I just can't. I read a lot of different articles and what they're saying. People are saying that they were using this. They want to raise money. They were saying that they were a group of fanatics. I've read all kind of things. What we have to remember is this little boy right here, Nayim Carter, is no longer with us, and his family, his siblings, his parents, his grandmother, they're all in agony. I want to say thank you guys for being here, and I will leave you with that. I will see you later this evening. Bye, guys.